The United States may attempt to exploit ethnic divisions within Iran as tensions escalate, but experts warn this strategy is destined for failure. According to new analysis from Al Jazeera, American policymakers are considering leveraging Iran's diverse ethnic makeup as a pressure point in ongoing diplomatic confrontations. Iran is home to significant populations of Kurds, Arabs, Baloch, and other minorities alongside the Persian majority. However, past experience demonstrates that such divide-and-conquer tactics have consistently backfired in the region. Current geopolitical realities make this approach even more problematic, as Iran has strengthened internal cohesion despite economic sanctions and international pressure. The strategy recalls failed American attempts to manipulate ethnic tensions in other Middle Eastern nations, which often resulted in increased instability rather than desired political outcomes. Regional analysts emphasize that Iran's complex social fabric cannot be easily weaponized by external powers. As U.S.-Iran relations remain strained over nuclear negotiations and regional influence, this ethnic card strategy could further complicate an already volatile situation. A daring rescue operation successfully extracted an American airman from remote Iranian territory in what officials describe as an extraordinarily complex multi-agency mission. The BBC reports that the operation required unprecedented coordination between multiple U.S. government agencies to retrieve the serviceman from hostile ground. Details remain classified, but sources indicate the mission involved sophisticated planning to navigate Iran's heavily monitored airspace and territorial defenses. The airman's presence in Iranian territory has not been officially explained, though military analysts suggest it could involve reconnaissance activities or emergency landing circumstances. The rescue operation highlights the ongoing tensions between Washington and Tehran, as unauthorized American military presence on Iranian soil represents a significant diplomatic flashpoint. Such extractions typically require extensive intelligence gathering, specialized equipment, and precise timing to avoid international incidents. The successful mission demonstrates American military capabilities while potentially escalating regional tensions. This incident could complicate future diplomatic efforts between the two nations and may prompt Iran to enhance its territorial security measures. President Trump has issued stark warnings to Iran, threatening to bomb the nation's power plants and bridges unless Tehran opens the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. According to NPR, these threats represent a dramatic escalation in U.S.-Iran tensions over control of the world's most important oil shipping lane. The Strait of Hormuz handles nearly one-third of global seaborne oil traffic, making any disruption catastrophic for world energy markets. Trump's ultimatum specifically targets Iran's civilian infrastructure, a move that could constitute violations of international law regarding attacks on non-military facilities. The threats come as Iran has repeatedly warned it could close the strait in response to American sanctions and military pressure. Meanwhile, in a stark contrast to Earthbound conflicts, NASA's Artemis II crew is preparing for their closest lunar approach, marking humanity's return to deep space exploration after decades. The juxtaposition of terrestrial threats and space achievements highlights the complex priorities facing global leadership. Energy markets are already responding nervously to Trump's inflammatory rhetoric, with oil prices showing volatility. Young Palestinians in Gaza are trapped in an unprecedented economic crisis, with unemployment reaching a staggering 80% as Israel's blockade triggers complete economic collapse. Al Jazeera reports that an entire generation of Palestinian youth faces a future without viable employment opportunities or economic prospects. The Israeli blockade has systematically destroyed Gaza's economic infrastructure, limiting imports, exports, and basic commercial activity essential for job creation. Young Palestinians, who represent the majority of Gaza's population, find themselves unable to support families or build meaningful careers despite educational achievements. The economic siege has created a humanitarian disaster that extends far beyond immediate material needs, crushing hope and aspirations for millions of residents. International aid organizations struggle to address the scale of economic devastation, while political solutions remain elusive. The unemployment crisis particularly affects recent graduates and skilled workers who cannot utilize their training in Gaza's constrained economy. This economic warfare approach has transformed Gaza into what critics describe as an open-air prison, where an entire population remains hostage to geopolitical calculations beyond their control. The smell of war has reached St. Petersburg as Ukrainian drone strikes successfully target Russian oil refineries on the Baltic Sea, bringing the conflict directly to Russia's cultural capital. Al Jazeera reports that Ukraine has launched coordinated attacks on the Pokrovsk and U.S. Teluga oil facilities, aiming to drain Russia's war financing capabilities through systematic destruction of energy infrastructure. These strategic strikes represent Ukraine's calculated effort to hit Russia's economic lifeline by targeting the petroleum revenues funding Moscow's military operations. The attacks on Baltic Sea refineries mark a significant escalation, as they bring visible and olfactory evidence of warfare to Russian civilians previously insulated from conflict consequences. St. Petersburg residents report acrid smoke and petroleum odors from the damaged facilities, making the distant war suddenly tangible in their daily lives. Ukraine's strategy focuses on economic warfare rather than purely military targets, recognizing that oil revenues sustain Russia's ability to continue its invasion. The strikes demonstrate Ukraine's expanding drone capabilities and willingness to target Russian territory directly. This tactical shift could fundamentally alter Russian public perception of the war's costs.